What's going on, everyone? We are back to God of War 2005 edition. This is part 2 of I don't know how many parts. I don't know how long it'll take me to beat the game, but that's the end goal. So, last part, or I guess last episode, whatever you want to call it, the microphone was a little bit scratchy, and I apologize for that. I had just done a couple test recordings with it and didn't actually do any kind of stress testing with it. Stress tests being the microphone moving around, because I was using my headphone microphones for the old original iPhones, I guess you can say. And that caused a lot of irritable scratching noises that were very present in the recording. I did my best in that first part to kind of minimize it. Tried reducing the background noise and everything and whatnot, but hopefully this time it works out a little better. I have taped it to my shirt now, so it's not moving around a bunch. I'm trying to keep my movements minimal here. But oops, I forgot which button it was. But yeah, so we are at part 2 of God of War. First part, we didn't get too far into the game. Not sure exactly how far in terms of time we're in, but still relatively early. So I'll play for probably about an hour, see how far I get, and we'll go from there. Oh shoot, I didn't grab a health chest. Okay, I have to use mad amounts of skill here to not die. I think I should be fine though. Now I'm hoping the controller vibration doesn't get picked up in the microphone as much, because I had to, it's not hanging as low as I suppose it could be. I just took the right earphone out and then just taped it to the middle of my shirt, because I tried taping it down while it was still in my ear, and it didn't work out too well, because the microphone is so close to the actual earpiece, so that wasn't going to work out, because if I turned my head, it would pull right out of my ear, and also it still made the crackly noises, so I gave up on that. But I think this is fine. Depending on how often I get these episodes out, I've got a little bit of time, but I don't know how much time I'll have in the coming days. I'm hoping at some point to get all the God of War games out, like I mentioned before. God of War 2 is probably my favorite one that I'm looking forward to. I just had a lot of variety. It improved almost everything the first game had to offer, and that's not saying there was anything bad about the first game, like it was all great and everything, but it's more like those you don't know what you have until you have it type deals. So in terms of quality of life improvements, God of War 2 was full of them. I think I mentioned last episode some of the moves that you can do later on, like the Cyclone of Chaos. I don't have it unlocked right now, but Cyclone of Chaos is one of my favorite moves. Even in the modern God of Wars, I always make sure that I find wherever that attack is hidden on the map, unlock it, and then upgrade the crap out of it. But in this game it was okay. It's okay if you're really swarmed. It doesn't really last too long. It does an okay amount of damage, but in God of War 2 it's really improved, especially on the ground, and I think in God of War 3 they went a step further, and once you upgraded it you could continually hit square and you would spin for longer, which I find is just an improvement all around. These climbing sections can get kind of tedious though. Still trying to look for all the hidden chests. I think I got the 2 that were over there in this area. That guy's gonna be able to get me from down there. Also, I'm hoping that if the crackling sound's not in the recording, I can actually utilize the reduce background noise a little more, because I used a treble boosting EQ to kind of just give, silly as it sounds, to give some kind of bass or baritone to the recording, just because the mic on here is a little tinny sounding, it's a little flat sounding, but it's clear. It's the clearest one that I have. The AirPod mics, oh, you can't slide down in this game, I forgot. The AirPod mics, and mind you, I have the AirPod 3s, so they're not terrible by any standard. They're relatively modern. The microphone on them is just terrible, which is sad because they cost a lot of money and they sound really good in terms of sound quality, so I'm not entirely sure why the microphone was skipped out so much. And even the iPhone microphone itself, I don't know if it's because my phone, not that I know of, sustained some damage, or there was some dirt lodged in the microphone area, but it just sounds awful as well. I'm trying to hold the controller away from the microphone because my R2 button's very loud. Also very glad in the later God of War games they changed which button you had to spam for that kind of thing, for chests, for doors. They changed it to R1, which is nice. On the PS2 it doesn't really matter because the R2 and R1 buttons are buttons. They're not there weren't really triggers on the DualShock 2. In the remaster of this game on God of War, the remaster of the game on the PS3, they kept the same control scheme for God of War 1, meaning R2 is also a button that you have to spam still, and that carries out no matter where you play it. So if you play it on the PS5, you have to hit R2, which is a problem because it's a trigger, and I'm not entirely sure how far down you need to push the trigger for it to register, because the game was designed for a button press, not a trigger. But if you don't know, then you don't know, and then it's just going to be a lot of pressing. And I don't know, it just can get pretty. I tried because I've played it on the PS3 a couple times, and it just doesn't work very well. And the PS3 controllers were a little more flimsy, I think, than the PS2 controllers. I don't know why, I just find that they were built a little more solidly. But I feel like I'm breaking it half the time if I have to do that. Decapitating Medusa will always yield magic orbs. Is that just a copy-paste message from the boss fight earlier on? Because these aren't Medusa, these are Gorgons, which are the species of Medusa, but they aren't Medusa herself. I played a little bit more of God of War 3 earlier today, and that one I also do have on the hard mode difficulty. That one's okay. It's not as challenging as I thought it would be right off the bat, but I don't know if there's a huge difficulty spike between God mode and hard mode, or whatever they called very hard mode in the later games. I think this game might have been the only one that they called it God mode. But it's not as hard. I think the only problem, especially with pretty much any of the games, oh crap, which one has the circle? Okay. With any of the games is the beginning parts when you have absolutely no health and no or little amounts of magic. So you have to keep your hits to a minimum, especially when you have enemies like the Gorgons who just will kill you so quickly. There's also the first centaur, whatever these things are called, minotaurs. The first one, this was a bug in this game as well. It was a bug in the game where when the circle prompt comes up above their head, you wouldn't always be able to activate it. I would spam circle over and over and over. It just wouldn't grab the guy, or it would do the grabbing motion, but it wouldn't do the when you're trying to grab an enemy that's ungrabbable and it would push you back. You would just grab right past them, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if the prompt isn't registering properly or whatever, but the way to fix that is to just hit them once and then you're good. God, so much button spamming. I don't hate it, but I mean, it can get a little excessive sometimes. We defeated those enemies, so we're moving on up here. Okay, platforming. Moving on up here to face some more enemies, but I think these are just the basic enemy type. Something also worth mentioning here, especially in the harder difficulties, dodging is your friend. You can pretty much cancel out of any move that you're doing as long as it's not the giant slam, I don't know what the name of it's called, the 4 squares and then the triangle, or the 3 triangles once you unlock it. But you can cancel out of pretty much any animation, and that includes blocking and dodging, which is super handy, because I could be attacking here, roll out of it, or I can just block. Even that one I can block right there. So that's, I keep hitting R1. I'm too used to the other God of War games because it's R1 in every other game after this. This was the only one. I guess PS Vita is the only one that is different because it didn't have an R2 button. But, drop, jump off. This game also didn't have the fast rope climbing. That got launched. So pressing X up here, oh, I'm not gonna get those XPs. Pressing X up here just drops you. In later games, it's used for a quick jump, so you don't have to pull yourself across the whole way. These rope sections can get pretty tedious, especially if there's a lot of frickin' enemies that come and swarm you. If they come from both sides and they just corner you, then it's over. They'll just hit you, and even with, it's the same as the climbing sections, they must have the same damage values or something. But they just do so much damage, and with this little amount of health they can kill you in like 4 or 5 hits. And if there's a bunch of them around you, that can be deadly. Like this. Sorry, though. I'm trying to remember if there's any secret chests around here either. I don't believe there is. And again, I don't remember exactly what this area looks like down here. Oh, okay. Good on health, yeah, I'm fine. On the other side of the door with these centaurs will give me health. Yes. Good enough for blades. Almost. Okay, let's see what these guys should. Spamming the button. Okay. Not sure why I was just standing there for a sec. So I got the one in that left room there, I got the one over there, and I got the ones across there. So I think I'm good right now for this area. We'll get a save in here. This text is borderline unreadable. It's like when you go to the eye doctor and you get, I mean, I don't remember what it's like getting the normal eye drops. I don't know how many they give you. I'm diabetic, so I get 3 sets of drops each time I go in. But one of them just makes you blind, or it makes everything fuzzy, especially screens. I don't know if it's the dilating pupil one, or if it's the special ones they give me because I'm diabetic. Gotta make sure you don't get diabetes in your eyes. That is a thing, it can happen. I've never seen it happen, but if I do the first time, I'm hoping it's not to myself, because that would suck. There's 4 of these guys? Okay, that must be a hard mode thing, because I am like 90% certain, unless I'm just thinking of the remastered version of the game, there's only 2, and then they spawn more in afterwards. Which one is this? I need health from you. Like that, he missed. You have to hit him once, and then you can grab him. Go, get some free health. This is part of that strategy I mentioned last time as well. I have a health chest back there. I don't need to use it if I don't want to, or if I don't have. Okay, all right. It's this guy who's got it. I don't need to use it if I don't have to, because these guys. I mean, I know it's okay. That guy was really. I wonder. Finish my thought, but I knew these guys were coming up, so I didn't bother with the health chest, but if you don't, it's just a good thing to keep in mind. But I wonder, and I don't know if this is a thing or not, if you do more damage, or if you keep hurting the centaur while they have the circle above their head, if once you do get the prompt, if you do them, or if you do some more damage to them, if it makes the circle prompt easier so you don't have to press the button as much times. No. Okay, never mind then. That one guy before this one was super easy. I barely had to press it any time, and it worked. Alright. Smooth. I'll just get another save in here, just in case, you never know. Power might go out. PS2 power supply might also go out. That is a possibility. It is old. I have the PS2 Slim, so it's not as old as the original one. The original one came out in 2000, so 23 years old. It's definitely earned its seniors discount in terms of technology. Did I get enough? Come on, I need 30 more. But the one that I have is a PS2 Slim, and if I remember correctly, on the sticker, because there was 2 versions of the Slim, they just changed the look on the top. I have the one that's just kind of uniformly square. There's no circle disc cover on it at all. They came out in 2004, so, but still, that was 19 years ago. Jeez. Long time ago. It's 1 year younger than I am. Gotta get my 1 points from the pods, can't miss them. The cutscene here.
Do not fear, Kratos. I am the Oracle of Athens, here to help you defeat Ares. Find my temple to the east, and I will show you how to murder a god.
I swear they had some known name actors play some of the voices in this game, or even some of the other God of War games. I know for a fact in God of War 2 and 3, the voice actor for Count Dooku in the Clone Wars show plays Zeus, and in God of War Ascension, that bug lady that you face right at the beginning of the game, she's voice acted by the girl who voiced Ventress in the Clone Wars. Don't ask me how I know. I watched a lot of Star Wars growing up. Yes, all the little fuzz blobs moving around down there. I watched the YouTube video from before. It doesn't look bad. Like, it looks about how I wanted it to look for this kind of thing, because it is a PS2. After all, I think this is also another cutscene, so I will remain silent.
God of War, I haven't forgotten you. what you did that night, this city will be your grave.
Foreshadowing. This stuff still amazes me, how they have all these little things going on in the background. Across the battlefield you see Ares, his great and terrible army is moving toward Athens. Can you see the army? Because I can't. Also, these little arrows, like, you see them just exploding without any impact. Why keep firing them? Save them for something else. Save them for the enemies that actually get hurt by them. Who am I to direct a war, though? I know nothing. Well, like I was saying, the PS2 was made in an era where streaming was a twinkle in the eye of some dreaming people. YouTube, give it 5 years after the original PS2, would become a thing, but then again, the only kind of videos you were putting on there were from either digital cameras that had video recording capability or cameras that had mini VHS tapes in them, the mini DV tapes, whatever they're called. We had one growing up. That's what my family used to record a lot of stuff that we did as kids, my brother and I. And I'm still not entirely sure how those types of things, or VHS tape things, got on YouTube. I'm sure it's well known within the age group that's a little above mine, because that's how you just would know how to do it. You would have had conscious ability to do it in 2005. But I've always wondered about that, and it's always fascinated me, because I have one of those digital cameras. Like, I kept it and I booted it back up. I bought a couple new tapes because we were out of them, replaced the clock battery and all that, and it has a mini USB cable, or mini USB port on it. So I'm wondering, because that's not for charging, it has a dedicated battery on it, and it has a barrel connector underneath the battery. So if you just wanted to use the barrel charger that came with the actual battery charger to plug it in just straight from power, you could. These guys, this part's a little annoying. I find it's easy to kind of kill one of them and then just freeze the other one, because it doesn't spawn in another one. But these guys are pretty tanky if you don't have upgraded blades, because they show up later in the game when they're supposed to, when the game is scaling a little bit more for you, when your powers are a little stronger. Right now, because they're not meant to die here, they're just meant to walk around and then you freeze them on the button. They also have different attacks. You use the weapon from the first guy, the first version of the Centaur, as a backup weapon. They got a new hammer weapon that does range. Okay. Be careful here. That's unblockable. And I'm getting cornered. I was also thinking, if and when I get some time for this, just making videos, because I'm always fascinated with old technology and just making it do things that it would never otherwise do. Just making it do the things that it shouldn't be able to do. I was wondering what other kinds of PS2 games I could try and stream. This guy needs to die. I have a fair bit of PS2 games. I don't have a ton. I have a couple of the original Spider-Mans. Alright, now it's this guy's turn. Button. I have some of the original Spider-Mans. I have both the original Battlefronts, which I think I might do. At least, because those were always fun. I enjoy the modern Battlefronts. I enjoy Battlefront 2 the most. But the original ones are really good. Like, I still find the campaign, while a little dated in terms of looks, is, in terms of content, just one of the best ones. Okay, we gotta focus here. Get on the button. Please. Thank God. Okay. I might not make that. I made it. Should be okay for health, too, because I know there's some centaurs coming up, and also the people are free health. I feel bad, but then again, you never see them again. So, alright, this whole road to Athens thing, whatever it was called, is super important because there is so many points and so many eyes and feathers that you can just miss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the archers first, then I'll go back and get the chest. What am I stuck on? Get the chests, because they're all inside and on the buildings, and pretty much every one of them you can get in. Okay, you can get in if you just destroy the doors. And I've watched a couple, very few playthroughs of this game on YouTube. I've watched, they just miss the doors, and it's a little annoying to watch. Okay, I want to be in the air for that attack. It's a little annoying, but I mean, I guess that's the case for any game, right? Like, any game that you've played, and you've played to the point where you know pretty much everything in it, when you watch someone else play it for the first time, especially if it's a video and not a stream where you can tell them or hint it to them that, hey, you're missing this right here, and then later in the game they don't even end up getting it, and then you're just like, I don't know, maybe that's just me, maybe I'm alone in that camp. It didn't give me that much magic, but alright. If anyone ever watches this, they'll probably say that, because I'm probably missing some chests too. But nothing in that one. There's one in here, I see it. It should give me enough points to upgrade the blades as well. And I think this is the upgrade that gives you the Cyclone of Chaos. Okay, this is the starting area. I already went in here. Is there anything on this building? Not on this one. There is on the next one. So, open that door. Nothing in. You can get up here, right? Yes. There's one across the way, too. There's just so many points here. If you're going for a want to upgrade all items run, this is the place that you need to focus on. Yeah. Perfect. Here's another one. Most of these are just XP chests, I think. But there are a few that are magic feathers and organized, like this one. Alright, that's a health upgrade, that's good. He's still shooting at me. I feel like this was the area when they're designing the game. They're like, okay, we didn't put enough chests in the game. Where's an area that we can just load them up? And this was the decided upon area. These freaking, the archers are some of the most annoying enemies in this game. In the final boss fight, I don't want to spoil anything too much, but the final phase of the final boss fight is, I know I've said tedious a couple times already, but that is so tedious. You have to, it's just patience, especially in the harder difficulties when he damages you so hard. But, okay, I'm gonna upgrade my blades first just so I can actually do some damage to this guy. But it's a system that I don't think they've ever used ever again in any of these games, and even in most modern games I don't think they use them anymore. But it's a back and forth system where the health at the beginning of the fight is split 50-50. There's like a bar. It's 50. Is that a guy walking across the road there? I think it was. Health is split 50-50, and when you attack Ares, you gain his health and you put it towards yours. But when he hits you, his health goes, he steals your health and it goes to him. The problem is that Ares does massive amounts of damage compared to yours, so you have to wait until he's done his attacks, which some of them are just unblockable, which is a little unfair. So you have to wait till he's done his attacks, then do your little measly attacks, and you have to do it like 6 or so times before you can get him down far enough. And thankfully there's no quick time event after that. I think it's like once you get rid of his health, it's just the game ends, goes to cutscene, which is nice. Did I unlock the parrying move? I don't know if I did. I don't remember which upgrade it is. Okay, let's see what I need. Magic though. I don't really want to waste the chest if I don't have to. Nice. Take some health from you. Okay. Got the cyclone. I'll show you what I mean by it can lock you in an animation that's deadly. So this is the animation. It's like angled for some reason, so you're really only hitting the enemies in front of you, even though it's kind of like a circular motion. But I mean, you're not hitting anybody up here unless it's a tall enemy. But in the other games, you just stay flat on your feet and you just spin around a bunch, which I personally think is so much better. It just works better. It also just looks cooler and it's a little faster. I didn't unlock the L1 triangle or the L1 circle. The L1 circle ability, it's like a smashing ability that like creates some shockwave around you that goes in all directions. But was that guy? Oh my god. But it's a little better than it actually ends up being. I find personally it just kind of is a little broken in terms of the hitboxes, I guess, because you can do it, and the shockwave, you'll watch it, it'll go over some enemies as it's traveling outwards, and they're just unaffected. I don't know if it does any damage to them, or if it does damage but it doesn't knock them back, because it knocks some enemies back, but other times, especially if you're in a large group, doesn't do anything to them, and then it's annoying because your blade gets stuck in the ground for a few seconds and you're just left vulnerable. It's one of those suicide animations the game puts you in. Just got a magic upgrade too, that'll be nice. Nearing the end of the houses here, so I think I've gotten... Can I make this jump? Can't even jump off of there. Alright. Just do it from here. I see a door. I know you can get up there. Take this guy out here. Destroy the wall in a sec. There's a chest in here. Get this. Just points. That's fine. I swear you can get up here. I don't know how they do the cheat jumps. Okay, after many attempts, I don't think it's possible to get up here. That door up there looks breakable, the wooden one there, but I don't see a way to get up there. Because you can't jump off of this building right in the corner, because there's a hitbox, or a wall that prevents you from getting over there. So you'd have to jump right here, but it just blocks you, so... I'm gonna go with there's nothing in there and just trick my brain into constantly thinking that, because if there is something in there, that would be pretty disappointing. If there is something up there, it would probably be one of those secret items that you get some whatever costume or whatever at the end of the game. I don't know if this game had costumes, because there's the challenge of the gods, but there's no New Game Plus in this game. They only brought it with God of War 2 and onwards, I believe. And maybe... Yeah, no, it was every game after this one, because even the 2 PSP games had New Game Plus. This was the one that didn't, which is a little disappointing, because you play the whole game, level up all your stuff, lose the weapons eventually, lose all your XP, and then you're left with nothing, and then you play the end of the game, and then you get Athena's blades, which look really cool because they are shiny and they're gold. They're probably very powerful, but you never know, because there's no enemies for you to fight at the end of the game with them, and there's no New Game Plus, so you don't get to use them in New Game Plus. I don't know, it was just a little bizarre. I just don't know why they go through the effort of making the blades and making them look as cool as they do, only to never use them. I don't know if you can use them in the Challenge of the Gods. I haven't actually tried that. Maybe you do, because you unlock that after you beat the game. So it's very possible. Alright, focusing up, there are a couple more secret doors around here. These doors are unbreakable. It's the same one, but there are a couple other wooden doors. Let's see. That's not a wooden door. There wasn't one there. Some water. Water looks pretty good in this game. There's nothing else down here. There is a door here, though. There's nothing in it. Beautiful. These things can break. Just take a lot of hits. Okay. Okay. Another goddamn lot. You know, they give you an okay amount of XP. Another breakable door here. This one had something in it. Okay. I knew one of them had something in it. There's another statue. See if I can break it with the cyclone. If it's any faster. I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think it was any faster. Alright. Moving up. I think that's all the breakable. There's one there. There's a door here too. I don't remember getting this one last time I played, actually. Extra points, even better. Like I said, the way that I played it last time, I was able to get all my weapons upgraded. Okay. This game also didn't have an enemy locking on function. Or if it did, it wasn't nearly as bad as the remastered, because I've watched a couple videos of people playing the remastered version for, granted, it's the PS3 version on the PS5. But in this part in particular, when you're attacking, okay, it did it there also, but in this part in particular, because there's all the people running around, Kratos will lock onto them instead of the Cyclops with his attacks, and it just becomes an annoyance. Here, though, I think we're okay. Okay, I can do it that time. Let's see if I get the big one. It's too far away. That should get them. Hitboxes, they were very large back in this time. Alright, there's a couple more than I can believe. I'm hoping by the time it takes me to level... Okay. By the time it takes me to level up my blades, I'm still somewhat fine, because I like to upgrade the blades first before I upgrade anything else. And on the higher difficulties, that can be a problem, because magic can be a nice crutch. And when your magic is level 1 and you're like far into the game, that can be a problem. Because you don't have magic to bail you out. The only thing you have is Rage of the Gods, or Spartan Rage, whatever they called it in this one. They change the name of it every single time in every game that you have Rage. PSP... Okay, I didn't know you could hit me out of that animation. PSP games didn't have Rage mode for some reason. I'm not sure why, I'm just realizing that now. They didn't have Rage mode, but that didn't stop them from being fun. Again, I didn't have a PSP growing up. I was a DS kid. My mom got me and my brother. We shared the one DS, but that's what we had growing up. And being, I guess, a kid who was a fan of God of War at the time, having that, okay, having that on the go and having a PSP version of the game was probably pretty exciting, because even playing them now, in hindsight, when we have God of War on the PS4 and Ragnarok and all that, it's legitimately like playing a console game on the go, which I miss because they just don't do that anymore. There's barely any portable consoles. The only one of name is like the Nintendo Switch, and I mean, it's okay, it needs an update. I don't play it personally myself because I don't own one, but it's the closest thing we'll get to a portable console. I mean, the Steam Deck, I guess, yeah, sure, why not? But it's not really a console, it's just a PC that has a touchscreen and is in the form factor of a Nintendo Switch. There was the PS Vita, Sony's last attempt at a handheld, which I think was good. It just wasn't marketed properly, and it was just released kind of at the wrong time because mobile gaming was becoming a thing, and as we all now know, that didn't really go anywhere. I mean, there's some mobile games that are decent, I guess, like Call of Duty, there's one. But it just didn't go in the direction that I think it was originally going, that killed the Vita originally. But, which is a shame, because Sony did really well with the Vita. It had tons of features when it came out. It wasn't the most powerful thing in the world, but they did a pretty decent job for what they had spec-wise. Games like Uncharted, Golden Abyss, that's still one of my favorite Vita games to date. Just having a full Uncharted game wherever you go is one of the best things. Killzone was one of the best looking games on it as well. But those were like the only two. And there's other games, I'm sure. Gravity Rush, I think, was one, but that one was ported over to the PS4. But you just don't get that anymore because there isn't that kind of audience, I guess, anymore, really. I mean, I've heard some people really want a portable console back like that, me included, but it's just not as popular as it was when DS came out and PSP was out. I know the Switch is selling really well, but to be honest, I think it's just because it is popular, yes, but I think most of its massive numbers in sales come from it's for a kid, and it's a portable console that is very breakable, and so when you break it, you have to buy another one, and that counts towards their sale numbers. It's the unfortunate truth, but that's just how it is. And Sony, they are releasing I don't even know what the official name of it is called. They might have revealed what it was. They revealed the product itself, I just don't know if they revealed the name. I know it was Project Q or whatever was its code name. But it is technically a portable console. It's a screen with some controls on it. I'll wait for the cutscene.
I know who you are. I know what you've done. Monster.
Wait.
Stay back. Get away from me.
Yes, the old blocky models that were drastically improved on God of War 2, but it's looks like a PS5 controller was split in half and they put a 8-inch screen in the middle of it, which is it's a good screen. Problem is that the console is streaming only.
Keep away.
No, don't go. That's a shame. I'll just rob you quick. But it's streaming only, and that seems to be a trend nowadays with consoles being streaming based. Like remote play is its essential feature, which, if you really want to get technical with it, the Vita can remote play a PS5. If you mod it, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's possible. And the Vita also has an entire library of games to itself. So, you know, it begs the question why, especially since streaming still isn't perfect. It still has a long way to go. I'm not sure if it'll ever get to the point where just using your local console is. I just don't think it can get that way, and if it does ever get that way, I still enjoy local gaming. It's just more fun. No compression, no nothing. You're just, I mean, I'm saying this while I'm playing a game at 480i, but no video compression, no latency, no risk of, oh, my internet disconnected so I can't play the game anymore. Just play the game as it is, no software updates, no nothing. I mean, that's definitely a thing of the past, when they would make games actually finished when they were releasing. Oh, I did get the parry move, okay. That's really handy. But, if they made another PS Vita, I don't think they'd call it PS Vita, they'd probably brand it as something else, but everyone would know it's the second PS Vita, or the third PSP. I think it could be pretty good. There's obviously some market for portable gaming, the Switch has proven that, and Sony has a lot of IPs to their name that they could make portable exclusive games for. If you want to push that console, make portable exclusives like they used to. Like with Killzone Mercenary, that was only playable on the Vita, and to my understanding, still only playable on the Vita. You can't play that on anything else unless you emulate it on the computer, but even then I don't think PS Vita emulation is very good right now, just because no one really cares about it. And PS Vitas aren't cheap, they're decently expensive nowadays. Like, they're still well in the 150 and over range, especially if you want a good quality one, and most of them are Japanese only, because they made way more of them in Japan, and that's fine. They take care of their stuff there, and usually you'll get the box with it. The problem is that in the software, the X button and the circle button are flipped. So you click circle to enter and select things instead of X, which is a little bit of a mind fuck when you're used to X being enter and everything. But I think if they made another one, they could do it. We have modern, updated specs nowadays. I gotta be careful, I'm dying. Which can greatly improve efficiency with decent power at hand for games. RAM is a thing now. The Vita had like 512 megs of RAM, I think, which is still more than the PS3, but it's a Vita. It had an okay processor. The screen on it was decent. It had an OLED screen, the launch model. Oh, I know how to defeat the shield, don't worry. It just wasn't the greatest resolution. It was like a 540p screen, which is okay. For that size, it was more than acceptable. But now, you could put a 720p screen on it, you could put a 1080p screen on it. So many things. And it would be great. You could give it actual trigger buttons instead of just R1 and L1. And they could, if they wanted to bring back the old God of War formula, because I'm sure no one would say no to another God of War game. Make another game set around this time, or set even in the time where he goes to the Norse mythology. Set one in between there. Make it Vita 2 exclusive. make it this kind of style. I mean, they could probably make it in the style of God of War 2018, I suppose, and make it Vita exclusive. And then you could sell the console, because the Vita is the one PlayStation console other than the PS1 that didn't get any God of War games. Every other one got 2 games. At least. The PS2 got the first 2 God of Wars, the PSP got Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta, PS3 got God of War 3 and Ascension, PS4 got 2018 and Ragnarok, PS5 I guess technically also got Ragnarok, and it will get whatever the next game is, most likely as an exclusive. And the Vita got no exclusive God of War games, which is kind of sad, because they would have probably looked pretty decent, probably somewhere close to the PS3 games, if not in between. It did get... Where did that XP come from? Okay. Stop. I guess I killed that one. It did get the original 2 games as its own kind of like the PS3 version of the remaster. It's not... It's alright. I would classify it as alright. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It doesn't run at 60. I think it's got an unlocked 30. Controls are okay though, I think, because it has that second analog stick. It kind of saves it. It's not using the weird, you gotta hold L and R and then push the joystick in the direction you want to go for PSP dodging. But God of War 2, I think, also, because it was just a little more technically advanced than the first game. It runs like crap in most parts, and all the cutscenes were compressed to a great amount. I don't know why they didn't... Oh, I double tapped the button. I don't know why they didn't try and redo or remaster the cutscenes, because even in the remaster for the PS3, the cutscenes are brutal. They just don't look as good. On the PS2 version, they look so much better because the game itself wasn't at a 1080p resolution, so they look like they fit in type thing. Alright, I'm at the 57-minute mark for my recording, so I'll go for a little bit longer and then we'll call it a day for this part of the series. Where did that even come from? We're in a closed space. In any case, I want to try and get a face cam working on this too, because I think that would be fun. Can't use my MacBook camera because my MacBook's on the floor. So that's just where I have the capture card plugged in, and I have a PS3 webcam, but you need certain drivers to get that to work, and also the quality's just not that good, and the drivers I don't think even exist for it anymore. So that's completely out of the picture. I thought we had a normal webcam somewhere around the house, but I haven't gone looking for it. And you can use, I did a little bit of research on this just to see, you can use your phone with OBS if you're doing it on Mac. You can use your iPhone with OBS, but you need to download a plugin on the computer, and you also need to download an app on your phone. And I thought originally that the app was like an official OBS app, but unfortunately it's not. There's just a bunch of different third-party ones, and they just make you pay like a monthly subscription almost to remove watermarks, get full quality out of your own camera, that type of stuff. So I just kind of passed on that. I don't want to purchase a webcam because, like I said in the last part, I'm not doing this full time. I'm not doing this every day or set number of days or something like that. I'm just kind of doing it for fun, just because I enjoy these games. I enjoy making YouTube videos. Okay, that guy died really quickly. I enjoy making these YouTube videos. I've always enjoyed doing YouTube, even when I was a kid. So, and just using up the last little bit of summer doing something while some of my friends are going back to school early because their programs start in August. So, this gives me something to do. But, yeah, so it's whenever I got time, whenever I got nothing going on. Usually do them late at night when everyone's asleep, so I don't bother them during the day. And, you know, upload them. The first part didn't take as long as I thought it would to upload. It actually did pretty well. It was about an hour after I cut out some stuff. I think the original recording was around an hour and 20 minutes, so shaved down a little bit of time. There's a chest back here. I didn't know that was here before. But, and it only took, I think it ended up being, because it thinks it's a 1080p signal, so it's recording at 1080p, which means it's 1080p worth of space. Exporting the video, I could have exported it at full quality, which is ProRes, which would look absolutely no different on YouTube or the recording, but that would have been a 133 gig file, which is a lot of space for no good reason. Okay, I gotta be careful, this part can be pretty deadly. But it ended up being around a 9 gig file, I believe, so not bad, and it took about half an hour to actually upload, and then another almost hour, I think, maybe not even. I wasn't even home for that. I'm gonna say maybe a half hour to 40 minutes of processing just for HD. Okay. I got trapped there. Okay, I'm gonna die. Gotta use the health chest down here. There's one down here, right? Not kidding myself. There is. So it took about, all in all, maybe a little over an hour, which isn't bad. A 9 gig file on the old internet that we used to have would have taken, what was I waiting for? Would have taken, like, I kid you not, 3 days, which is brutal. I had to do a school project the one year. I think it was in my grade 12 year. We made some school tour video for the high school. This was during COVID, so the grade 9 students next year wouldn't be able to come and do orientation for the school. So we made a little tour video with a drone and everything, recorded all the rooms and everything in the school. I did a voiceover, so I had to record myself, and that was a pretty big video. I think it was around like 10.5 gigs, and our internet was so slow at the time, and I needed this thing done for like the next day. Our internet was so slow that it would have taken an ungodly amount of time, but it didn't even matter because it would cancel out after a while, just saying, oh, we couldn't process or whatever, it failed to process. I was trying to upload it to Google Drive, not YouTube, but still, upload speed is upload speed, and I'm like freaking out. I'm like, oh, you know, what am I gonna do? I have to upload this thing and get it out so the students can see it and everything. And I couldn't drive on my own at the time either, because I think I was either 16 or, no, grade 12. I was still 17, wasn't 18 yet, but I didn't have my G2 yet because COVID had pushed everything back, so I couldn't even drive on my own yet, so I had to wait for my dad to come home from work, and he came home really, really late, and I'm like, alright, we gotta drive down to Tim's and use the free Tim's Wi-Fi. But I didn't want to go inside, just sit there for however long, so we just went outside, sat on one of the tables outside just in the dark, and I uploaded the video. It still took like almost an hour there though, so I'm just sitting there and there's people inside looking out the window, probably wondering, hey, what's this kid doing with a computer just sitting there, probably trying to hack the thing or whatever, to hack the system. Those guys have got to stop running in groups, it's not serving them well. But that was one of those core memories that I won't forget, and that one was eventually uploaded to YouTube, I think, as well, by whoever the leadership teacher was at the time. And then he took it down, I think, because I can't even find it, which kind of sucks, because I put a lot of work into it, and I have a cousin who's also going to that same high school now, and he's in grade 9, or he will be going into grade 9 come September, and school's not open to just anyone, right? They can't just walk in. But the tour video's not there, and I don't have it on my computer anymore. I thought I did, but I guess I deleted it, and I don't think I transferred it to any kind of hard drive I have here, which is a little unfortunate, because I actually liked watching that video. But such is life. You make things you care about, make sure you record them and put them somewhere that you can access them, because YouTube isn't forever. It's just a streaming platform, and it's only as good as either violations or the people who post the videos, or just until the service ends one day, and then they'll be gone. So keep a local copy, keep a couple copies, because you never know when you might lose these things. But that's just how life is, unfortunately, so you gotta make the most of it. Make the most of what you got. I'm not really sure where I was going with that story. If I got to the point, or if I completely dodged the point, doesn't matter. Made that jump. I remember that part used to give me so much shit when I was a kid, I don't know why. I just didn't understand the jumping mechanism, or jumping mechanic. I'm gonna go here for chargers. Go here first, because I know you need to get Zeus's power up to be able to open the doors down there, or to do the bridge on that next part. So, this isn't a door, right? No. This thing is so annoying to push because it's so heavy. Apparently I can do all the shit you just watched me do in the previous 2 episodes, but this thing is out of the question. Like, that didn't move at all. The ramp has more power than I do. Gravity has more strength than I do. Put this thing down. I don't know why they made this as difficult as they did. Like I said, older video games were just unforgiving. This was the first entry, so they didn't understand exactly. Alright. There are enemies here somewhere, I think. Are they behind this door? They are behind this door. Boom. That move is so powerful. That final slam that you can do, just wrecks. Okay. Why did that hurt so much? This is not good. Okay. Counterattack now. Which is handy. I think in this game, I don't know why, I think it had the best counterattack of both games, or of all the games. Some of them I don't even think have a counterattack, like Ascension, because you just don't have the golden fleece at all in that game. Or some of the, I think a couple of the PSP ones, they did give you counterattacks, and maybe they're better. I think Chains of Olympus might have had a good one. I think you had the Golden Fleece in Ghost of Sparta, maybe? I don't remember, but in God of War 2, and I was replaying God of War 3, trying the counterattacks there, it's just not as good. It's just not, unless the enemy's right in front of you, it's just not useful, because when you block them, it staggers them, and they fly backwards, which means they're out of range of the counterattack, which defeats the purpose of the counterattack. But, I will give them, in those games, they have a ranged counterattack, which is nice. But that's about it. They don't have, it's just not great. This game, though, it's better, because the enemies don't stagger back that far, and even if they do, you have range. This counterattack is range. Alright, there's a couple chests, I think, around here somewhere. Maybe. Is there a way? Not up there. Is there a way to get up here? There's a ladder up there. Does this do the ladder? It does. Oh, look at that. Not sure why all these guys are up here or what that lever did, but maybe it pulled the ladder up, who knows. Alright, there's a couple other doors. Don't remember if there was anything really important behind these ones. I don't think so. Nothing in this room, just some pot XP. And then this door, I think, is how I get out of here, right? Oh, it's a chest. Alright. Perfect. Lovely. Don't know why I can't break down that door. I have Blades of Chaos, which are literal magic. But doors are my biggest enemy. Ares is chop liver compared to the doors within these God of War games. So I gotta spin this thing around twice, I'm guessing. Face the door and then fire away. That's a great walkthrough content. Oh no. It's gonna make me fucking. Jeez. This thing only rotates two ways, doesn't it? It rotates the one way and the other way. Yeah, so I have to pull it off. God. Like this type of stuff, you just usually don't find in modern games because it's so tedious. Like, you know what you have to do, you know what you're supposed to do. The developers know what you're supposed to be doing, but yet they make you do this anyway. Also, I don't know who else was moving that thing other than me, because if I was having such a hard time moving it, I don't know who else would have been moving it or who put it up there, because they'd have to push that shit up that incline. Alright, Zeus's Fury, one of the more useless power-ups in my opinion. Just because I just never use it. I can hear enemies. Image of Lord Zeus hurling his thunderbolts down at the earth. It is an image of soldiers being ripped apart by the thunderbolts of Lord Zeus. Getting a theme here. It is an image of a muse, one of the 9 daughters of Lord Zeus. We had a Greek mythology, oh, I almost triggered that. We had a Greek mythology class in 9th grade, and I'm sure if I had, like, paid more attention when I played God of War, I probably would have found it more amusing, but I didn't. It was one of my least favorite things.
Lord Zeus.
Kratos, you grow stronger as your journey
They also
continues.
just ditched this
But
voice
if you
actor
are
for
to
Zeus in the
succeed your
second game.
quest, you will need my aid. I offer you the power of the greatest of all the gods, the father of Olympus. I offer you the power of Zeus. Take this weapon, Kratos. Take this power and use it to defeat your enemy.
This power sucks, honestly, for being the power of the king of Zeus, the king of gods. It's not great.
You have done well, Kratos. Go with the gods. Go forth in the name of Olympus.
Thanks, Zeus. Oh, it was a door. I thought so. Because, like, it's just... I don't know. I'm so glad in the third one they give you a bow that doesn't use... What was in this room? Is this a secret if I have... Okay, I never defeat the enemies on this ledge. Because I don't see a point. But does it open that door if I defeat those enemies? Okay, understood. There's a magic chest in there. I don't really feel too bad about these things. It does open the door. Oh my god. I don't think I've ever done that before because I just never saw a point to wasting my magic there. And I just completely disregarded this door over here because I know that's not where the main area is. Is this a secret thing? Oh. What is this room? Okay, that wall's breakable. A lot of pots. If the pots gave more than 1 XP, this would be a little more worth it, but... Get these ones on the wall. Break the wall open. There's 2 chests in here, jeez. I missed these 2 on my other playthrough on just normal mode last time when I was playing too. My god. Alright, the low pot. That's actually pretty handy. I'm glad I did that. Where did I lose magic from? I got the magic chest. How did it not give me full magic? I'll watch it over the recording. I'm sure I'll figure out I'm missing something. But I think that will... I don't think there's enemies in this room quite yet. Yeah. I think that'll do it for this episode. I think it was also around an hour. I don't think... We're not very that far in the game yet because there's still the whole Temple of Pandora that has to be done. But that just means there's more to do, more episodes to be made, which is fine with me. I enjoy making these even if no one watches them, even if it's just me in the future, I still enjoy making them. They're fun to make. Get a save going here. So, geez, what time is it? I didn't even look at the time. 2:58 in the morning, lovely. That's what you call a successful sleep schedule. Alright, don't need to get up for anything tomorrow morning, so... Alright, thank you all for watching, if anyone watches. Yawning, I'm tired. Stay tuned for the next episode. Try and get it out in the next couple days. I just posted the other one yesterday, so I'll probably take a day to edit this one and then post it. And we'll go from there. So, thank you everyone, and enjoy the rest of your days.